Greetings, this is Paul the Poke from PaulthePoke.com. 12 days and done. Nuclear program obliterated. Scripture reference, Isaiah 54, verse 17. No weapon that is fashioned against you shall succeed, and you shall refute every tongue, or language that is, that rises against you in judgment. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their vindication from me, declares the Lord. So, friendly reminder. And as many point out, the flawed nation in Israel, they are still God's chosen people, and He will keep His word, and He will protect them. And at some point, His Son, Jesus, will come down from heaven and rule and reign from Israel. Now, for those of you who have not seen President Trump's address, got a link provided, full address to the nation by Trump, announcing strikes against nuclear facilities inside Iran. We're not going to go over that. If you want to hear that, just click on this link, and you'll be able to watch it. It's about 4 minutes, I believe. A lot of discussion about whether or not the hits on the various nuclear sites were successful. So we got some Maxar satellite imagery reveals fresh damage at Iran's Fordow nuclear site from Israeli airstrikes on June 23rd, 2025. It's pretty obvious things were hit. Points these things out. Now, these were the U.S. strikes. These are the ones, and you can see them here and here. Everybody's like, oh, but those are little bitty holes. Well, keep in mind those holes are probably 8 to 10 feet in diameter. And so there was some pretty significant precision. And remember, those go down into the earth and explode. What, each one a couple hundred feet or so, 200 to 300 feet, and you had 3 in close proximity. So, I mean, holy cow, ridiculously destructive. And then there was a press conference showing more of what had happened. I believe it was early morning press conference by Secretary of Defense and some military brass. This is Operation Midnight Hammer, provided by Ian Ellis. So roughly, here are the details: 125 plus aircraft, plus 1 guided missile submarine, 7 times B-2 bombers, deployed decoy and deceptive tactics, 75 plus precision guided munitions, targeted 3 Iranian nuclear sites, largest B-2 strike in U.S. history. And again, this is provided by Ian Ellis Jones on X. Operation Midnight Hammer, large B-2 strike package from the continental U.S. to conduct precision strikes against 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. Main strike was comprised of 7 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, and we had a little rope-a-dope. You know, part of them took off from Whiteman in Missouri, went west, and the other group went east to Iran. So everybody was watching the ones going west, and I believe the ones that went east were undetected. And again, we've covered the 75 plus precision guided munitions. But here's the timeline of what happened. Here's a little bit of the strike force, what actually happened. Well, now they're saying 14 massive ordnance penetrators. 14 were used. So each one of those, I guess, is capable of carrying 2. Unknown number of 4th and 5th generation aircraft. 30 missiles, 30 plus missiles, and then 30 30 Tomahawk cruise missiles from a submarine. So it gives you a flavor of what happened. And they're telling us this sub was located down here in the Arabian Sea, off the coast of Iran, near the Gulf of Oman and the Persian Gulf. So lots of stuff out there for those who are interested. Trump put out a tweet: "We've completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordo. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There's not another military in the world that could have done this. Now's the time for peace. Thank you for your attention in this matter." So, which that's a thing too. We've had a lot of people who've made careers on talking about Iran. We got to get rid of Iran. We got to take out Iran's nuclear program. Iran, this, that. Well, that's been eliminated. And now some of you folks who have been barking about that, your boogeyman's been taken away. I'm sure you'll find another one. But this ended a lot of discussion and a lot of chatter for the Warhawks out there. So you got what you wanted. It ended. We'll see how you handle that. I think you'll find something else you'll want to go drum up some other situation. But Trump's kind of eliminated that issue. Be fascinating to watch and see what happens. Now, the Ayatollah Khomeini, he put this out on X. "My congratulations on our dear Iran's victory over the U.S. regime. The U.S. regime entered the war directly because it felt that if it didn't, the Zionist regime would be completely destroyed. It entered the war in an effort to save that regime, but achieved nothing." And now, internet was cut off to the people of Iran. I've not seen an update on that, but I know they went about 3 days without internet. And then, he's out there claiming to the world that they won, Iran won. With all the commotion and all those claims, the Zionist regime was practically knocked out and crushed under the blows of the Islamic Republic. So that's what he wants his people to see. We have some Israeli analysis. This is about 8 minutes. Got a link here for you. If you want to see that, click on it, watch it. Here's kind of a written summary of what took place. Operation Rising Lion. And here are the objectives. Iran's nuclear program significantly damaged, lacks the capacity or the capability to enrich uranium to 90%. It's been neutralized for an extended period. Ability to produce core of nuclear weapon was eliminated. Thousands of centrifuges destroyed. Iran's missile production capability severely impaired. Will be unable to produce thousands of missiles as planned in the coming years. Missile production capacity currently neutralized. Significant reduction in missile production is expected. And rebuilding capabilities will require a lengthy process. Approximately 200 missile launchers, 50% of those were destroyed. IDF achieved air superiority over Iran. 80% of Iran's air defenses destroyed, equating to roughly 80 out of 100 air defense batteries. 70 Iranian radars were destroyed. 60% of Iran's strategic air defense batteries were eliminated. Some other additional things: interception rates, 86% of Iranian ballistic missiles and 99% of drones were intercepted. 1,500 sorties flown by Israeli Air Force, striking more than 900 targets across Iran. Tehran itself, 24 hours, final 24 hours of the operation. Widespread attacks on Revolutionary Guard Corps headquarters. Estimated 200 to 300 Revolutionary Guards and Basij fighters were eliminated. didn't have much participation from their proxies. Shiite militias in Iraq participated minimally, about 40 drones launched. Hezbollah did not fire, and the Houthis down in Yemen only fired 2 or 3 missiles. So, disruption of Iranian missile launchers, only 60% of what was planned was fired, meaning 40% of missiles intended were not fired. 2,305 apartments in 240 buildings were damaged, leaving 13,197 homeless in Israel. And this is IDF. Israel is now entering a phase of force buildup prepared for future confrontations. IDF is ready to approach the next round of conflict with Iran better equipped and more prepared. So it's like, don't think about it again. Now, this has been interesting to follow, and this is out of Russia. This is from Sputnik. Israel admits they planned attacks on Iranian leader. If he'd been in our sights, we would have taken him out. There was no operational opportunity. And Israel Katz, in an interview with Channel 13, well, Israel's proclaiming that, the Russians are reporting that, and Trump's going to come out and he makes a statement about the Ayatollah. Why would the so-called supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, of the war-torn country of Iran, say so blatantly and foolishly that he won the war with Israel when he knows his statement is a lie? It's not so. As a man of great faith, he is not supposed to lie. His country was decimated. His 3 evil nuclear sites were obliterated, and I knew exactly where he was sheltered, and would not let Israel or the U.S. Armed Forces, by far the greatest and most powerful in the world, terminate his life. I saved him from a very ugly and ignominious death. And he does not have to say, "Thank you, President Trump." In fact, in the final act of the war, I demanded that Israel bring back a very large group of planes, which were heading directly to Tehran, looking for a big day, perhaps the final knockout. Tremendous damage would have ensued, and many Iranians would have been killed. It was going to be the biggest attack of the war by far. During the last few days, I was working on the possible removal of sanctions and other things, which would have given a much better chance to Iran at a full, fast, and complete recovery. The sanctions are biting, but no, instead I get hit with a statement of anger, hatred, and disgust, and immediately dropped all work on sanction relief and more. Iran has to get back into the world order flow, or things will only get worse for them. They are always so angry, hostile, and unhappy, and look at what's gotten them. A burned-out, blown-up country with no future, a decimated military, a horrible economy, and death all around them. They have no hope, and it will only get worse. I wish the leadership of Iran would realize that you often get more with honey than you do with vinegar. Trump calls for peace. And there's the link right there for those of you who want to click on that and see Trump's post on truthsocial.com. And then after this was done, Trump ends up over for NATO talks. Keep in mind, Turkey is a member of NATO, and Trump and Erdogan hold talks at the NATO summit. Okay? Keep your eyes on Turkey. They are a big part of Ezekiel 38 and 39. Definitely bears watching. And then this also happened under the radar in Greenland. Denmark votes for a defense bill giving U.S. access to its air bases. New agreement places bases in cities such as Karup and Skridstrup under U.S. jurisdiction. Here's just like the introductory sentence. Denmark has voted overwhelmingly. The Danes did it. They voted in favor of a new defense agreement giving the U.S. sweeping powers on Danish soil, including unhindered access to its air bases. You can also read this from theguardian.com. And then after this was made. That announcement was made. President Trump has ordered Greenland to be reassigned from U.S. European Command to U.S. Northern Command, a move that brings the PaulthePoke space base under new oversight as part of a broader effort to strengthen Arctic and homeland defense. Operated by the U.S. Space Force, PaulthePoke is the northernmost American military installation and plays a central role in missile warning, missile defense, and space surveillance operations critical to national security. So, things are changing in Greenland, and not a whole lot of fanfare was made with that statement, but it did happen, so keep your eye on it. Let's also keep your eye on Alberta and Saskatchewan in Canada. Now my sense is those two, if they break away, they'll become their own nation and not join the United States, but would probably have some pretty favorable trade agreements with the U.S. And Canada better be careful. I mean, that's where the bulk of money is generated in Canada, is in Alberta. So all the oil and gas. Just saying. And they don't have equal representation. That's part of the deal too. So that's what we got for this past week. Appreciate everybody following along. We'll keep you updated as things happen. I do think we're probably going to be hearing some noise about the Abraham Accords. We'll be coming back into the news. And who knows who joins that. I don't think Trump is the Antichrist, but I do think he's laying the groundwork for the Antichrist to confirm the covenant in Daniel 9. So we'll see. Time will tell. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good one. Take care. Bye.